Hello and welcome to the Arsenal BiteSize Podcast. We're bringing you a special edition pre-recorded for the first time. We're going to look at our Premier League team of the season so far, and I'm really looking forward to debating with you, Clayton, our picks for each position. So I'm, of course, FPL Nima, and I'm joined by my co-host, Clayton. There's just going to be a short, quick 20 to 30-minute pod. Do give us feedback about what you think about the first pre-recorded content we're doing, and if there's any other content you'd like to see while we don't have the Premier League on. I don't think we want to stop. So we're still looking to release like something every week until the Premier League is back. But yeah, how are you, Clayton? How are you enjoying the World Cup?
Yeah, World Cup's been great, I think. And I've kind of dodged the worst games by the sounds of it. Like the couple of 0-0s, I've just fortunately actually been working and not really been able to watch them. And the great games I've been able to watch. And obviously, so yeah, we're recording this on Saturday the 26th. And yesterday, your boys, Iran, done absolute bits. I bet you were over the moon.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it, man. We've never beaten a European team in a World Cup before in our history. So
Oh, really?
it was kind of history in the making, but it suddenly makes the game on Tuesday against the USA that was going to be blockbuster anyway, but now it's massive.
What's the situation? Is it just straight shootout, whoever wins?
Yeah, so I think as long as England beat Wales or even draw with Wales, then Iran only needs to draw with the USA to get out the group for the first time in their history. So a lot, and both games are at the same time, right? So it's going to be moving to the format where the kickoffs are both at 7 p.m. and at half time, I'm sure both managers will be getting intel of what's happening.
Everyone will be on
side.
SofaScore, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the points in Group B at the moment are 4 points for England, 3 points for Iran, 2 points for USA, 1 point for Wales. So it's all to play for. Like, if Wales beat England,
you look really
good. I think we obviously got absolutely slaughtered against England. I wasn't expecting much different.
In the round table, like you did say, you won't be like the kind of. I know the 6-2 was harsh, but you've looked good. And
I don't think we've ever lost like that in a World Cup. Like that was our biggest defeat ever, like in our history. Like I know, obviously, the FIFA rankings are a bit subject to opinion,
as well, though, right?
So like I looked at it, and like at the end of the day, like Taremi got 2 goals against England, and we know England are a very strong defense. They're very hard to score against. Maybe game state played a factor, but end of the day, like Iran managed to get 2 goals against a very good England defense. They were humiliated. There's no doubt about that. But I think against Wales, it was a very cagey game in the first half. But coming into the second half, I remember thinking it didn't feel like a group stage game. It felt like a knockout game. Yeah, like both teams, I think, concluded that a draw was not going to do either of them good. So they were just going for it. And like, like Wales brought
good on you. I'm happy for you, man. I hope you go through. Like, yeah, genuinely.
I really hope so, man. But that USA game, honestly, I can't wait. It's going to be fucking huge. It's going to be massive. Obviously, this will be released before then. So if you're listening on Monday or Tuesday before the 7 o'clock kickoffs, good luck to all the England fans, Wales fans, USA fans, and my fellow Iranian fans. This group is... I was very conflicted emotionally when I saw it get announced a few months back. I was actually born in Iran, for anyone who didn't know. I've lived in the UK since I was 5, but Wales was the first place we came to when I was 5. So it's kind of like... so I'm kind of like very conflicted, and I got relatives in the US. So I guess I can win no matter what happens, whoever goes through, but it would be nice for Iran to make history for the first time and get through. But yeah, awesome. So that's kind of the World Cup so far. And I'm sure as we record more of these episodes, there'll be more coming up. We're actually going to, for anyone listening, we're going to do after the group stages and before the knockouts, we're also going to record an episode about looking at the kind of the 8 Arsenal players at the World Cup and how they've done and their performances so far. So shout out as well to Matt Turner last night against England, who looked fantastic.
Yeah, I actually missed the game, but I heard he was unbelievable. Like, really happy.
He was playing out from the back and stuff. There was a confidence. He just dribbled out of his box past the player and like just ran up the pitch a bit.
I saw the clip of that. Yeah, fair play to him. Arteta's coaching.
Yeah, it's exciting. And then I saw all the Arsenal lads after the game as well together.
Nice, yeah,
that was nice. They're all bonding while Kane was giving the interview, and in the background you can see the 4 Arsenal lads together.
Just having a chin work.
I love that. Cool. So, okay, let's we'll talk about the format here. So what we've done is
spoiler alert, it's Ramsdale, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko.
So Gabby at the back, Gabby in attack. Arsenal on the way to Champions League. That's basically
that's going to come back to bite you now.
Yeah, I know. I still get nervous whenever we sing that song. Yeah, I get very nervous. So what we've done is we've got the FPL site open, and we thought what would be quite fun to do is as we're debating the players for each position, to actually just start to put them into like a team here. In terms of formation, we've kind of gone for a 4-3-3 with a lone six pivot, although I think it's quite popular from the media to go for unrealistic attacking FIFA formations to get as many high
To
name attackers on the
shoehorn
pitch as
everyone in,
possible.
right?
Yeah, so I've seen a few 4-2-4s, which are interesting to say the least, when KDB is one of the two in the pivot. But I guess whatever you can to fit everyone in, right? So we've gone for
Yeah,
what we think is a more realistic lineup. What I'm going to do is we're going to start from the back. So we'll start with goalkeepers. We won't look at FPL points, but that gives you an idea of at least some of the ones that are in our shortlist. So I think for us, there was three goalkeepers we really wanted to look at, wasn't there?
yeah,
So obviously, Arsenal and Newcastle have both kept 7 clean sheets each. They are joint first in the league for clean sheets. So Pope and Rams. So yeah, Pope and Rams. I think they have to be in the discussion. So I'm just going to add Pope in for now and Ramsdale. However, you looked up some interesting data, didn't you? And I think you'd kind of seen with your eyes that you felt Alisson was doing very well, even though Liverpool haven't been great. And I think the
yeah,
numbers you looked up back it up, don't they? So do you want to tell us a bit
exactly.
more
Yeah,
about him?
yeah, it was exactly that. I just felt like it was one of those things that, yeah, with my eyes, I felt like Allison, and he's been doing this for a couple of years now. I just feel like he'd made loads of saves that genuinely prevented more goals from going in, like, to be quite simplistic about it. But I feel like that can sometimes be a lazy narrative. So together we both had a look before recording, and we went on FBref and we looked at the expected data. And when you're looking at post shot expected goals minus goals allowed, he's top and prevented 7.6 goals.
In just
So,
14 matches or something,
like,
15
and
matches.
part of me is like, am I reading this wrong? Because that is bonkers. Yeah, but yeah, so I think it's something that we've both seen it with our eyes, but the data backs it up. And okay, some people will look at Liverpool as a defense and like the clean sheets, but I think the clean sheets aren't down to Allison, right? If anything, it should be even worse. The clean sheet is
Yeah.
more like because of how Liverpool are playing and them as a unit. So yeah, he's in the conversation for us. But yeah, they're the three. So who are we going for as the number one?
It's a
Should we do like a
tough one.
3-2-1 and then both say at the same time who we both think?
Yeah, so we don't have to, because I think with it's like with the predicted scores we do for the previews, we always hear the other person's first and it can shape what
Yeah.
you're gonna say.
So
So
just do
let's
like
do that.
three. So we'll do that, and then if we disagree, we debate it, right?
Sounds good. Okay.
All right. Should I
All
count
right.
down?
Yeah, I'll let you do the first countdown.
All right. 3-2-1. Pope.
Pope. All right.
All right.
So no
Nice.
debate there. I think that the main thing to say is many of our fellow Gooners listening might assume that we'd be biased and go for the Arsenal player. But over the last few reviews, I think we've made it very clear that Ramsdale is a very young goalkeeper. He's nowhere near the peak age for a goalkeeper. And as great as he's been for us, and I love Ramsdale, don't get me wrong, there are moments in his game where I do not feel assured. And I think that decision making will improve. I
Yeah.
think Pope has fundamentally changed that Newcastle defense. No one saw them playing this level this quickly after the takeover. People thought this would be years in the making, and now they're a realistic European competition
Yeah,
contender.
man.
So I think it has to be Pope just for that reason alone.
Do you want to
And
remove Ramsdale and then we'll do like the subs at the end?
yeah, so we'll remove Ramsdale. So we stick with Pope. I think, did we want to start with centre backs or full backs when we go to the back line?
Let's go right to left. So right
Cool,
back
right to
first.
left. So we start with right back. So we'll switch this over to well, it gives us all defenders here, but you can quickly see that there's a few right backs and left backs making their way in here.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going
So
to add in Trippier because he needs to be obviously part of this debate. I think Ben White as well.
yeah.
Amazing how he's adapted to that position. I
And
think there was
Diego
one more
Dallo
I
was the
wanted,
third
isn't
one.
it? There he is, Diego Dallo.
So they were the three on our shortlist.
So I think just to have a quick look. So he has 5 clean sheets. I just wanted to compare it because I know that White here he has 8, but actually we only have 7. He just got subbed before the clean sheet got conceded. This is where FBL points are a bit suspect. Similar with Trippier, 9 clean sheets, but they only have 7, so he got subbed twice and banked those points.
Yeah.
That's
Just
why
out
he's
of
so high
interest,
up.
has Dal what can you click on Dallo's thing? Like, I just want to see how many games he's played and stuff. Has he
Yeah,
played
so
all of
he's
them?
pretty much played
Played
every
all of
minute
yeah.
apart from 5 minutes here against Liverpool,
Yeah,
and
because from what I've seen, he's
nothing is
been
Fulham.
really impressive under Ten Hag. So yeah, I think that's a good shortlist. And yeah, there may be debate on this one. So should we do the countdown and see? And then if not, Or do you want to talk a little
Yeah.
bit about why?
Yeah, I think I'm not even sure what I would say if the timer started now. So give me a few
Okay.
seconds to just consider this. Hmm.
So for
Yeah,
me, I think
yeah. Well,
what
yeah.
like
Tell us your thoughts. Yeah.
yeah, so like Trippier kind of speaks for itself, right? I think he has been so consistent for Newcastle in both what he's offering offensively and defensively, and like the set piece threat he's got is just ridiculous. Like that is just a source of so many routes to goal for them. And yeah, I just feel like he's just been a complete fullback, and similar to your description of Pope and how transformative he's been for their back line, I feel like Trippier's had a similar effect on that right hand side. And then Ben White kind of speaks for itself, right? It's again what you said, how he's adapted to that right back role, and yeah, this is a potential spoiler for me. This position who we're going for is only between two players, and I feel like Dalot, for me personally, is there on merit, but I think he's been slightly below Trippier and White for me personally, but I think he's been absolutely brilliant as well. But I feel like those two have been on a different level, personally.
Yeah, I think it would be remiss of us to not have Dallo in here in the
Yeah,
conversation. But I think when it comes down to it, I'm definitely picking between the other two. I think one thing I do want to add before we pick is that something I found interesting was obviously yesterday against USA. It felt like Saka was very isolated, and I don't remember seeing Trippier like offer much. I think he was occupying the very wide space and kind of taking up space that Saka's used to having, like Ben White invert a bit. So
yeah,
if only England had the option to bring on Arsenal's right hand side that
yeah. The
already
ready-made
have chemistry.
combination that exists.
Yeah. So like I don't think there's anything wrong with Trippier, but I just think that when you change systems,
Yeah, yeah,
it changes
absolutely.
everything. And I think
Yeah,
if you look at it from a systems point of view, then it becomes a much harder debate because I think Trippier in that Newcastle team, he's almost talismanic, isn't he?
yeah,
He's
yeah.
so
That's
pivotal to
true. It's
creativity.
weird to
I
say that
think
about right back, but you're bang on.
it
Yeah,
is, yeah. So that's the thing. So I think although Ben White, I would love to pick him as an Arsenal fan, like I'm not sure like how well what he does adapts to other teams who don't play like with the inverted fullbacks. Like
yeah.
would he maybe just be better as a centre back in those other formations? So
Interesting.
that's kind of my thinking. But okay, I'll do the 3-2-1 this time.
Cool.
All right, so 3-2-1 Trippier.
Trippier.
Yeah, I think it
Interesting.
has to be. Yeah, I think he's honestly been so good.
What the
And
fuck are we doing? We've picked two Newcastle boys over two Arsenal.
I think we got to start hoping some Arsenal players make it in, and I think centre back is a place where they could.
Yeah, we've got a decent shout here.
So I think we've got so many centre backs that I'm not sure I'll be
We
able
might
to
not be
fit
able
them
to
all
fit
in.
them. Yeah, so I'll just read them out while you're adding them on. So our shortlist for centre back across both right and left is Saliba, Lissandro Martinez, Gabriel, Shaw and Botman, and then Faze. Is that how you pronounce
Yeah,
his
the
name from
Leicester player,
Leicester?
yeah, Wout Faes, yeah.
Yeah. So
And then I think
that's our shortlist.
Akanji as well. So Akanji's,
Good
I think, a
shout.
notable mention just coming in when City had those injury problems and
Yeah.
keeping a spot, playing in
He's
different
become Pep's
positions.
trusted man so quickly, hasn't he?
He has. He looks like a steal. They got him for a bargain. Was it from
Yeah.
Dortmund? I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He was always
that's
someone
looking
that
like a
was so
bargain.
highly rated, but like just never seemed to kind of get that big move. Yeah, he's just come in and adapted so quickly. Do you see that? This is a tangent. You see the video of him doing the mental maths?
I did. That was crazy.
Yeah, he
The
should
the
be in there for
gap.
that alone.
Yeah, the gap between him and Grealish in terms of like school education is shocking.
Hey, there's no Grealish slander after the. Do you see the celebration that he did for that young?
Yeah, no, he's a good
He's a
lad.
great.
I just
Yeah, he is a
I'm
bit
just
thick
still
though.
not. That's what I was gonna say. I'm still not convinced he graduated primary school, but that's that. Like what can you say? I do like him as a player and
Yeah,
he's a
me
he's a
too.
good person as well, which is important.
Right,
We
let's
know how
try and
many
whiz through
footballers.
these. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry, go
let's
on.
go through these quickly. Sorry. So obviously, I think for me, like there's two positions here. We're not going to go with a back three centre back. So I just think I'm very comfortable to say that like Saliba has to be one of them, like no matter what. So I feel like it's then a
Yeah.
debate between the rest for the second position.
So the
Would
way
you
I'm
agree?
looking at it, yeah, I do agree. So the way I'm looking at it is right centre back, left centre back. Right centre back is between Saliba and Shaw. Left centre back is between Gabriel, Martinez, and Faze. So I personally think we just do the 3-2-1 bang go on
Yep.
these, and then debate if need be, because otherwise there's
Okay.
quite a few.
Let's start with right centre back then.
So between Saliba and Shaw, I mean,
Yep.
Do we need to?
Yeah, I'm not picking a third Newcastle player. We don't need a timer for
No.
this one.
Okay.
It's definitely Saliba. He's in for me.
Three,
He
two,
has to
one.
be in.
Shah.
3, 2, 1, Shah. No, so it's definitely Saliba for anyone listening on podcast who
Yeah.
doesn't know what's going on the screen. I just realized that for the podcast listeners, you can't see any of the madness happening on the screen right now, but
I think
it's
we've
all
been
good fun.
explaining it.
So I think Saliba stays. So then let's go to Gabriel.
So this,
Martinez.
I think, is the interesting one, and let's stick Shah in the conversation as well, just because he was unfairly up against Saliba there. So
yeah,
left centre back, we're choosing between Gabriel, Lissandro Martinez, Shah, and Faze. I needed a second to actually think about this. Okay, I think I've got mine. Have you?
Yeah, I've got mine. I'm pretty confident of the one I'm going to go for. I think this one I was pretty like centre backs. I was pretty confident on both before we started. But it's good to throw some of the other names in the hat because I think all of the names we're looking at deserve a mention. If there's anyone you guys think we've missed out, please do leave a comment on the YouTube video afterwards so we can like chat through it with you guys. I'd love to know what like the listeners and the audience think as well in terms of any players that we've missed, any players who you think have done well from teams that we've maybe not.
We absolutely have missed people out. So yeah, call us out. Let us know.
Yeah, please do. So okay, we'll do 3, 2, 1 for this one. So 3, 2, 1, Martinez.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it has to be.
He's been brilliant. I'm not upset that we got Zinchenko, and I know Martinez would have played a different role for us, but fuck me, he looks good. He's he has got very short man syndrome though, I think, like with his anger. But like his technical ability and his defending is very, very good. Yeah, I think he's
he's fantastic, honestly, and I am still a bit jealous. I guess we wanted him at Arsenal, I think primarily as a left back, but we got Zinchenko instead.
Yeah.
So I think with the way Gabriel's played, I wouldn't change our 2 centre backs for any other centre backs in the league.
It works. It
he is a good player.
Well.
Yeah, like Martinez is a great player, and I think he's kind of. I remember there was a lot of talks about he's too short to be a centre back in the Premier League. I think he's dismissed that very quickly. Yeah. I mean,
I was guilty of that. I'll hold my hand up. Like I kind of jumped onto that lazy narrative, and like there have been a couple where like that has been a problem, but his pros, like, and what he brings to the team, just don't even make that a talking point. Like, yeah. Top player.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's a top player, so there's no debating that. So let's go to fullback then, left back. This one's tough because obviously on the FPL screen I only have 2 free slots, so I can't put all our shortlist in, but I'll put in some of them. So I'm just having a look here. I think I'm going to put in Cancelo. I think I just have to.
Yeah, on the shortlist we came up with before the pod, it was Cancelo, Robertson, Rico Henry, Luke Shaw, and Big Dan Burn. Bloody hell, are we the Arsenal BiteSize podcast or the Newcastle one?
I'm gonna put in Rico Henry. I really like him.
We love it.
Look, there's no data for him. Oh, look at that. FPL's shit as usual. Okay, so he's got 4.
Watch when their servers crash midstream and it's like there's no actual game going on.
Yeah. Oh god. So I think Cancelo, I know he does move between fullback positions depending on personnel who are available.
Yeah.
However, like the way City play, he's so integral to it. He's a creative force. He does that inverted role very well. I know people have said that this season for the City team and even for Portugal, when we saw them in the World Cup so far, people feel he's not at the levels he was at in the prior seasons. I think he set a high bar for himself over the last few kind of Premier League titles that they've won. And he's integral to everything they've done before, plus this season. So I think it's unfair. I do understand that he is at fault sometimes for some of the goals that City have conceded this season. But that's kind of the high-risk play that I think they go for.
Exactly.
By letting
it's
him
the
go
high-risk, high-reward stuff, right?
It's what we do with Zinchenko, right? Like we know that we're weakest in our left-back position because we allow that to happen.
Vacate that space for what it gives you in possession, yeah.
So I think regardless of maybe like a bit of a drop-off from his kind of high standards he set for himself, I think he's absolutely in this conversation and maybe even the left back to pick. Rico Henry, I think, deserves a word because I think he's been good over the seasons that Brentford have been in the league. Yeah. So it's not just this season. He
should have been in the England squad consideration. Like he should have been in the. I'm not saying he should have gone on the plane to Qatar, but like I feel like I didn't really see his name being spoken about much. And when Luke Shaw's the only outright left back that's gone, I do feel like he's been underrated and overlooked over his time in the Premier League. Personally, every time I watch, like, and this is the thing, it's small sample size. So like Brentford fans that watch them regularly, like, tell us if we're missing something. But whenever I see him, he looks good. He looks solid.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I think the other person as well who was in for a shout when Chilwell got injured was Dan Burns. So I know he's obviously played there at left back for both Brighton and Newcastle in the past, but he does sometimes play centre back too. So again, it's like a personnel thing with Newcastle who's available.
Yeah,
he didn't go in the end. I know he doesn't offer as much attacking outlet as the likes of Robertson and Cancelo, Rico Henry, even Shaw. Dan Burns like the most traditional defender of all of them in our shortlist, I think. But he deserves a mention because we are now 100%. The Newcastle BiteSize Podcast, as you said. So it would be remiss to not mention one Newcastle player in every position we go through today. But no, jokes aside, like, fair play to them. They have been fantastic.
And just quickly, but before we go to the decision, obviously, Shaw, you spoke. Just say what you said off air, really, because that kind of summed it up.
Yeah, so I think the key thing is, like, obviously he didn't have the starting spot when Malacia first arrived, but when Malacia kind of dropped off a bit, he has made that his own and taken it back, and he's looking very comfortable. He's looking much better. I think one thing I will say about Ten Hag is that what I've noticed is his team look much fitter than they have in previous seasons. So the same players, the likes of Shaw and other players who have been in this United squad for a while.
Lean now, don't he? Because he's always been
like he looks really lean,
stocky, and
Well, I remember in the last World Cup, I think it was, there was like a leaked picture of what like the England team had picked from a menu for like one of their meals, and he'd gone for like quadruple carbs. I think it was like chips, mashed potato, bread. It was like every type of bread you can get. And then like everyone else in the United team was getting like steak, and he's there with like 5 different carbs. So things have changed a lot. I think for me, the turnaround is a bit of a tangent, but I think it's worth mentioning is because this stuff Ten Hag did when he first arrived reminds me a bit of Arteta and his kind of no one gets away with anything kind of mentality, as we've seen with Ronaldo being kicked out the club too now. But what he did was, you remember when they lost that game 4-0 to Brentford?
They ran.
He made them go for that run the next day, even though they were meant to have a day off, and he joined them for the run. So I think that's part of what I'm getting at. Like, he leads by example, and he's made this United team much more formidable force.
Yeah, they look very
seem
good.
far more astute than they have recently. So Shaw has to be in this conversation. Just because he's not played as many games as the rest of them, he can't be the number one pick for me. But if we do the countdown, just on Robertson, I want to add before we pick as well. So I know Liverpool defensively haven't been great, so similar caveat to when we picked Alisson. The reason I like Robertson is I think in the recent games, he's looked like the best part of that defense. He's got 3 assists in the last 3 Prem games. Like, again, it's maybe I'm biased because of the attacking output he brings, but I do think he's still part of this conversation, regardless of Liverpool's kind of downfall a bit this season. But let's do a timer on this one. So left back.
Should we pick out of all of the options, not just between Cancelo and Henry?
Yeah, I think it can be anyone. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Cancelo. Yeah, I think I can't go for anyone else for me.
And you know what? Let's just be nerdy about it. Look at the back four. You got Trippier providing the width on one side. Cancelo can invert on the other. So like, it works.
Yeah. So this
Martinez can cover for him.
You got Saliba, Martinez, Pope. It's looking like we said at the start. It's looking like a team
it's
that
balanced.
Could actually play.
It's balanced. It works. Right. Who's the midfield to supplement it?
So we'll go right into the middle. I think we wanted to do, we said a 4-3-3. So we will go with the pivot. I think for the lone 6 position, we have to put obviously Thomas Partey, and the way he's played for Arsenal this season. Our only loss in the league was when he wasn't available against United.
Yeah, and I stand by. If he was playing, I don't think we'd lose that game.
Same. So I think I have to put in Rodri. I think Rodri is fantastic for City. I think they play slightly different roles, but he is definitely part of this conversation. We put, I guess you could put Bentancur here as well.
Not for this one. That was.
Oh no, we want him in the 2 CM roles. Yeah, good shout. So we got Declan Rice, I think, is the last one. Then
who lots of Arsenal fans are starting to talk about, and to the annoyance of West Ham fans. So we won't get into that one, but yeah, he's obviously a very good player in that conversation. And then Bruno Guimaraes, who
let's put him
kind of changes between an 8 and a 6, but he is, for the sake of the options and the conversation, we're kind of including him in the conversation for the 6. And if he doesn't make it, we can add him to the conversation for the 8s.
Yeah, so the other teams I've seen in the media, they basically don't have this position. So what I've noticed is it's like 4-2-3-1 or 4-2-4, I said. So I've seen like CMs where it's like De Bruyne and
It's
Xhaka.
FIFA formations, isn't it? Like it's just vibes. And this is like maybe we're too nerdy, but like I
But I
think it
think
is
you need
cool
a
to pick
you
a
need a
team that,
pivot, like you need a spine,
yeah,
you need a player who is in the middle, the engine of your team. Surely you need one to be a winning team.
yeah. I think like maybe it's me being absolutely stupid, but when I pick like these team of the seasons and stuff, I love to think that like it's on paper, but on the pitch they would actually work. And I think that's how I quite like to pick him. It's like, okay, like yeah, De Bruyne has been up there this season, but like you're not going to go shoehorn him in on like the left wing, are you? Like, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I'm just looking at Party. So yeah, so he missed the 3 games. He's got 959 minutes under his belt. Rodri has 1,122. He just missed the one match and an early sub in the other. Rice has played every single
Every
minute
minute.
he can,
Yeah,
1,350. And then Guimaraes did miss a few through injury as well, 993. So I think one thing I will say about this position is that availability is a major factor. I think being available, someone like Declan Rice, who you can guarantee will always be around, that is very
is
key.
underrated. Yeah, you see
Yeah,
how
I think
much
that's an
we drop
underrated.
off when Party's not available, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. So I think Party, he's 29. He's still got a few more years at this level. I think he's playing his best football he's ever done. He's adapted to this role very well. But I'm not sure if I would still pick him just because of the injuries.
I think this is one, just conscious of time, I think we
Yeah,
do
I
the
think we just
countdown
go
and debate it.
and then yeah, let's just do that for the ones
Yeah.
going forward. Let's do that.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
think the next couple, let's say the short list and then
and
go
then
for it
do
and
the
then debate
countdown
the
straight away.
differences.
Sounds
Yeah,
good. All right, I'm gonna.
I know
This
mine.
is so tough.
This is the one I've not had to think about, which is interesting.
Once I know, I'll tell you about the timer because I think if you start the timer
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
I
no,
literally won't know.
take your time.
I'm just looking at them on screen again for the listeners. Just to summarize, it's Partey, Rodri, Rice, and Bruno Guimaraes. Okay, let's do the timer.
Yeah, all good.
All right, 3, 2, 1, Partey.
Party. Interesting.
I couldn't resist.
Your comments about availability made me think you were going elsewhere.
Yeah, I really wanted to go for Rice or Rodri, but I can't deny just like the levels Partey changes the
Hey,
team. Like,
he's ridiculous. Like I know he's missed games, but I do think when he's been playing, he's been at the highest level of those people in that conversation, which
he has.
can be debated, but it's more what just think of the attributes you want and need in that lone six. And I think what he does is absolutely frightening. Like obviously, so I personally think my second and third are Rodri and Bruno more than Rice.
Yep.
And like what they bring to the team is phenomenal. And like the way Rodri controls the tempo of a game, what Bruno's doing at Newcastle, but Party in that lone six, I don't think there's many people in world football that can do what he's doing in this Arsenal team, like genuinely. And I think that kind of single point of failure, I think certain players can be replaced in other teams, but for me, that level that he brings and the aggressive passing, breaking lines, and then it's a one-man midfield at times the way he wins the ball back. It's frightening.
Yeah, no, it really is. Like that. That's the thing. That's what I mean. Like, I'm not sure Rodri needs to do the same work that Partey does. It's a very different role, despite playing
Yeah.
similar position. I don't think there's anyone who does his role as well as him. So hopefully he can get to that 10 games played in a row marker that I've been complaining about for a while. But
Yeah, true.
if he stays injury free, I'm far more confident of how our season will go ahead. So for this kind of
How
the
should we
two
do these
eights,
then?
yeah, so we've got to pick 2 players here. I can't fit one of the shortlists onto the screen, but I'll just read them out. So it's Xhaka, Odegaard, who I've not put in the FPL team, De Bruyne, Madison, and Bentancur as the 2
Just
kind
to
of
show we're
eights.
not biased, we had to chuck in a Spurs guy.
Yeah, we had to put in one Spurs player at least. I guess just on this one as well, what worth noting is although it's the 8s, we are treating them like when you look at Odegaard, we're playing 4-3-3 and he is an 8, but he's obviously got the skill set of a 10. And that's kind of where the thinking with the likes of, say, Madison and De Bruyne comes in.
Oh, De
Whereas,
Bruyne
say,
plays
Xhaka.
eight.
Yeah, exactly. And like Xhaka and Bentancur, they're perhaps a bit more conservative, although we do see Xhaka go forward quite a lot. So I think for me, it's kind of like I would be picking between like one of, say, Xhaka and Bentancur, and then like one of De Bruyne, Madison, and Odegaard.
Yeah, so if
Although
I
you
could
could
throw a
go for 2
suggestion,
attackers.
I think we do the right 8. We pick between Odegaard, De Bruyne, and Madison, and on the left 8 we pick between Xhaka, Bentancur, and I think Maddison is one that
He
could
can
play
be
on either.
either one.
Yeah.
All right, fine. Let's start with the right eight. So you said
Yep.
Odegaard, KDB, and Madison. Let's do a 3-2-1. All right, three.
Fuck it. Chuck in Bentancur as well for that. I think
Bentancur, just
he's someone
throw
that
them
could
all
do
in.
both. Yeah,
Yeah,
the only one
throw all
that
of them in.
can't is Xhaka, really.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, 3-2-1. De Bruyne.
De Bruyne. Yeah.
I think he has to get into this team.
That's not a debate, really.
Yeah, that's not a debate. Just the chemistry that him and Haaland have already picked up is almost telepathic so quickly.
Yeah.
But very, very good. Cool. So for the other eight, the left eight then. So again, between Xhaka, Madison, and Bentancur.
Yep. I'm not including Odegaard in there just because we haven't actually seen him play that left eight role. So even when Vieira came
I think
on
it's
at Wolves,
unfortunate. Yeah, I think it's unfortunate for Odegaard. He's our top goal scorer this season with 6 goals, and he is really captaining the team by example, and he looks fantastic. You know, he's a very good player, but when you're up against De Bruyne, I think it's just tough luck, isn't it? It's
I think like other
unfortunate.
positions, Odegaard's in the conversation, but unfortunately, De Bruyne has been better.
Yeah, I think so. So, all right, let's go for this one then. So 3-2-1, Madison.
Oh, the first one, I think.
Yeah, we've completely gone polar opposites there.
The first
I guess
one.
my thinking is just I've put a lot of Arsenal players in already.
Yeah.
The second thing is just Madison. I think we were talking about this before. I was saying that in 2022, the calendar year, he has like the most goal contribution output of any England player.
Yeah.
He is really flying from an output point of view. I wonder how he would play in a team like a City or an Arsenal or a Liverpool. I think he would fit in very well doing the Odegaard role at Arsenal, for example.
I agree.
I think he's a fantastic player. Yeah, I think he's a fantastic player. He's still very young.
Just checked 7 goals, 4 assists this season as well. And yeah, like you say, what was it? Most goal contribution since
in 2022.
Yeah, so like,
and we're in December, man. Like it's December in a few days.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think he's fantastic. I do think Southgate took him just so that he wouldn't get like people complaining, but he doesn't look to use him when it's 0-0. That's for certain. We'd rather keep a clean sheet. I know that's how we play, but it is what it is. What was your thinking? Yeah, because I went for Madison because I went for a more attacking 2-8, so I kind of went KDB and Madison. So maybe I don't have as much balance as you do.
Yeah, mine was exactly that, a balanced thing. I think Madison absolutely is in that conversation. Then I can't really fight you on kind of going for Xhaka. Mine was more looking at Partey, De Bruyne, Xhaka as a 3. I think the kind of offensive side that Xhaka brings, but also the balance in terms of the defensive jewels, the second balls and stuff like that. And just like someone like De Bruyne, he's obviously going to be like a half space, like just going to live in that half space crossing, like overlapping and stuff. And I do think if you've got someone like Maddison as well, I just think you're lacking something defensively a little bit. But
your team's balance goes way off.
Yeah, but I think there is a lot of Arsenal, so I'm happy to go Partey, De Bruyne, Madison. I think it all works.
I think like I don't have the space.
Let us know, like,
when
if people are listening. It'll be really good to hear people's midfield 3 on that.
Yeah, I'd love to hear. Would you like if you were going for a 4-3-3 with a lone pivot and 2-8s? I'd be keen to know. Like, it'll be interesting. So I'll remove Xhaka for now, just because we need this space to be able to put in like the final positions. Because what I realized is that all of our wingers are midfielders in FPL, so I can't put them in the striker position or on the forward wings.
Yeah.
So I need to fit them all into here. So we've got a left wing and a right wing to pick.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. So for left wing, we've gone for obviously one of our golden boys, Martinelli. We'll put him in.
I think for this, don't put any people in positions yet. Keep it blank, and then we just kind of talk. Because otherwise,
then we can add them in once we pick. Fine. So let me. So we got for Martinelli, Trossard, Foden, and probably Harvey Barnes. I think are the 4 left wingers we've gone for.
Yeah. And again, if we've missed anyone, let us know who you think.
And please don't comment Sterling. I know he's great for England, and he never lets us down. He got us to the finals, but I don't think he's been that great for Chelsea this season, in my personal opinion. And I'm sure many would agree, including Chelsea fans themselves. So this is a tough one for me. I think we just do a straight 3-2-1.
I need to have a think.
I think for me, it's between 2 of them. Obviously, the Arsenal bias. I know one of the 2 we both probably have in there.
Yeah. Okay, I think I've got mine. Yeah,
All
I've
right,
got mine.
3, 2, 1. Martinelli.
Gabby, ooh, Martinelli.
I think it has to be Martinelli for me.
Yeah.
This is one of the reasons I didn't want Xhaka, because I wanted to use up my Arsenal slots further up the pitch, and I think
You're thinking further ahead than I am. Fair play.
yeah, and I'm also thinking to myself that realistically, there have been so many great players this season. Even though we're top of the league, I wouldn't be putting more than 3, 4 Arsenal players into this team of the season so far. So if I
Really?
put in Xhaka, then it starts to get a bit cagey. I think
Yeah,
they're
I
in
think.
there for like debate, but like, you could say all 11 are the best 11 of the season so far, but then I think that's just being too biased,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, like
Like we're
just because,
top for a
just
reason, right? Like,
yeah. But I think that's the thing. I've always felt like, even with the City teams that have won the league, the Liverpool teams, it's never a case of like those individual 11s have been the best 11 players. It's like it's a collective thing, right?
hmm,
I just think there's 4 or 5 people in our team performing at a bonkers level we're not quite used to. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, no, that's
I
fair.
think not much more to add on that on little
Yeah,
Gabby.
I think just the only thing to say about Martinelli is 3 years ago when he was 18, Klopp said he was a talent of the century. The likes of Ronaldinho and others came out and compared him to the original Ronaldo and stuff. Like, this is a player who is going all the way. Like, his ceiling is insane.
Yeah,
And just from a World Cup point of view, I was delighted to see his story was one of the most heartwarming stories that came out of the World Cup call-ups, I thought. Like, it meant the
yeah,
world to him. And he came on as a sub for Brazil. And we saw that electric Gabby that we've become used to. I saw him pick up the ball in the few minutes he cameoed at like left back position. And next thing you know, he's in their box crossing the ball. And I was like,
yeah.
wow, okay. Like, imagine you're a defender and Martinelli comes on at the 80th minute
I know
and just
it's long.
runs the full length of the pitch.
Yeah,
No defender wants to look up and see him and his speed in the 80th minute when you've just played a World Cup game.
I know.
That Brazil team looks terrifying with the people they can bring off the
They
bench.
look
So
very good. Yeah.
let's go to right wing. So we've
Yep.
got Saka here, we've got Almiron,
We've done this a
we've
weird way, isn't it? We like did the right back first, and now we've done the left wing instead of the right wing.
yeah. So Saka, Almiron, we've put Foden in here as well because he plays both sides, and I think we have to mention Mo Salah, just even if it's just to look at like the drop off in form compared to his last 5 years
Yes,
in the
this is
league.
where we slightly kind of see it differently, isn't it? So for me, he's just not in the conversation. But obviously, like you were kind of saying, just to kind of illustrate how much it's just so weird that he's just not a shoe-in, which it's a position that's just not been debated the last few years, right?
Yeah, and now I wouldn't even go near him. So I think I just wanted to mention him for a special shout out for that. But and I remember when we were both at the Emirates for the Liverpool Arsenal game. I just remember like their tactic was basically long balls to Salah, and Tomiyasu would just jump up and clear them, and then he got subbed in the 60th minute for Fabinho for a CDM. So
Yeah,
he got completely marked out of that game. And I think maybe having the World Cup off and having some rest, maybe we see the old Mo Salah back going into the rest of the season, but he's not going to be my pick. So let's do 3-2-1 between, I guess, Saka, Almiron, and Foden for the right wing.
yep.
All right,
All good.
3-2-1. Almiron.
Almiron. Interesting.
Nice. Okay,
Yeah,
so Newcastle are making their way back into the conversation again.
love Starboy, but yeah, Almiron's just been absolutely ridiculous with his goal scoring this season. How many goals has he actually scored? I want to see that.
Yeah, no, I'll show you. He is because I've bloody clicked on forwards now. I've lost him, but
Yeah, he's on
he,
8
8
goals.
goals. Wow,
Yeah,
that
and
is
like
mental.
Saka's been brilliant. Like his overall play and like the way he links and kind of the way his link up play and his relationships on the pitch. He's got 4 goals, 6 assists. Almiron's obviously got 8 goals, 1 assist. So Saka's got more goal contributions, but I just think Almiron this season has just been quite scary. Yeah,
No, I think that's There's I would be confused if Almiron didn't get into most people's team of the season so far. Like he has been incredible. He does not look anything like the Almiron that joined Newcastle.
no,
He's a man possessed. It's mad that so many of these players were there under Brucey, and they just
yeah,
look
and
like
just look at the
different
level.
players.
I know. Yeah, just conscious of time. Should we fly
Yeah,
through
let's just
the
wrap up the
striker
final
and then
one. Yeah.
yeah,
So
and then
strikers,
pick our subs?
So I think for striker, we've only got the one because of the 4-3-3 we've gone for.
Yeah,
But there's a lot of them we wanted to pick between. So these were Haaland, of course, Ivan Toney, Harry Kane, Gabriel Jesus, Callum Wilson, Darwin Nunez, and Alexander Mitrovic. I think all
yeah.
of them deserve to be in that conversation. If there's a striker we've missed, please let us know. Apologies in advance.
To be
With there
honest, I
just
don't
being one position, I don't think it's even a debate.
know. I think for me, like, yeah, obviously, I'm guessing we're both saying Haaland, right? Like, he's just a
Yeah, it
freak.
has
But
to be like.
for me, like, his freakiness this season has completely taken away. Like, I know he's Spurs, but like Harry Kane, he's just been scoring every week. Like, he's on.
Yeah, he's
Let
on
me just check.
12
He's
goals,
on
I think,
12.
3
And
assists.
like in any other season, I feel like everyone, like in FPL, you're probably talking about permacap Kane, and like
Yeah.
he's just, yeah. And it's interesting. I was speaking to one of my Spurs mates, and he was like, "Oh, he's actually been playing shit, but like he just scores every game." I'm like, "Well, is that like he's
Like,
doing
you
his
want
job?"
your
No,
striker to do that, right? I think in
yeah,
terms of that respect, Ivan Toney feels like a player
yeah,
who's most similar to the skill set of Kane, and he's also been doing
I agree.
fantastic for Brentford. I was surprised he didn't get called up for England squad, but maybe the kind of betting reaches may have something to do with that.
Oh yeah,
232
I
bets.
absolutely think that is the reason he wasn't included. Yeah,
But he's been fantastic. I guess we wait to see what happens if we're going to see him again this season. We know
yeah,
other players have got bans. I know that Trippier got a ban for much less bets than Ivan Toney made.
yeah.
I guess the question
Joey
is, did he
Barton
bet
did,
on
I
games
think,
he
as well.
played in? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, Joey Barton did also. I guess whether it was a game you were in has a massive impact on the length of
yeah,
the ban. So we'll see what happens with him. I think Mitrovic has to be mentioned because he's been Fulham's talisman.
yeah.
Like
Like he's been,
we saw what he did when he bullied Gabriel, and Gabriel was one of our centre back like team of the season so far contenders. So
yeah. Some of his goals have been great. That one against Spurs, the way he's peeling off to the back post to win headers. Like he's, yeah, great
he's
start to the
blockbuster. He
season.
can do everything
Yeah.
that you want
Obviously,
from a
there's been a
striker.
couple pens in there for both Tony and Mitrovic, right? So
Yeah,
and Kane
definitely.
as well. But
Yeah, well, all of them to be
oh,
fair.
and Haaland. Yeah,
I was
so
gonna say
ignore the
so.
point I just made.
Yeah, so I think the one thing I will say about Haaland is he's on
Just no pens for
18.
Jesus.
Yeah, so he's on 18 goals already, Haaland, and there is a realistic chance that should he stay fit and doesn't just get rested, let's say in the Prem for Champions League, that in his first season in the Prem, he will break the goal scoring record for most goals in a season by a Premier League player, and that is mental when you think about it in
Yeah.
your first season. Yeah, so I think he's our pick, but I do think that just Jesus, to touch on him as you said, I know he's on like 5 goals, 5 assists. I think he's not found his goal scoring boots of late, but he has transformed that Arsenal team. He's changed the way we play.
Yeah, he's
You know, yeah,
elevated the attack. He has been a level raiser, and I think that's why he's kind of in that conversation of like, sure, people will look at like he's underperformed his XG, like there has been bad finishing, not denying that. But if you just watch what he brings to the team, fuck me, it's ridiculous.
yeah, no, it's definitely true. And then just to touch on the other two, then, so Wilson, I think obviously he's been a big part of
Speaks for himself.
Newcastle's push ahead, especially with the likes of Isaac and Saint Maximan out injured. They've needed Almiron and Wilson to really carry the slack on the goal scoring front for them. So, and then the final one, Darwin Nunez, I know he's had a bit of a tough
Darwin,
time adapting.
Darwin. Have you heard that song?
No, I haven't.
If you don't, I'll send it to you
Oh,
after.
yeah,
This guy
send it
on
to me.
TikTok. I just can't stop singing the Darwin Nunes song.
I
It's
love
so
that.
crap, but I love it.
I need to see this. So obviously, like I remember when he came on at the Emirates, because I like to talk about the games where I've seen a player live because I feel like it gives you a different perspective than the camera angles. You see what they're doing when the
Yeah,
camera
I
isn't
100%
focused on
agree.
them.
Yeah.
And although I know that his kind of touch can be, leave a bit for wondering, and like there is a few weaknesses to his game, that's for certain. Some people call him a donkey, for instance. I think that's a bit harsh, but his movement is
It's
elite. Like
ridiculous. Yeah.
the way he was moving off the ball to get into positions, his running into position, like he's stretching out teams. He just looks terrifying as a defender. It's not quite fully clicked for him, but I think he is a very good young striker, and we're going to see a lot more of Darwin Nunes to come in the years ahead. I think
Oh
people who are
yeah.
already dismissing him, they are underestimating the difficulty of moving to a new country, learning a new language, adapting to these things as a young person. Not everyone is like Haaland, which is basically not human and just arrives and goes like he has. So I think he's been unfairly judged, and I think he deserves to be in this conversation. Just purely from what we have seen, there are glimpses of really incredible potential out there from him.
Yeah. Agreed.
But yeah, so
Nice.
that's kind of wraps it up. That's Haaland
Should
in the
we
team.
just a final suggestion to pick our subs? Let's do 3-2-1 and then agree each sub. So like obviously keeper, who's the backup one?
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, let's do that. So we'll do
So it's
keeper.
out of
All right.
Ramsdale and Allison.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Allison.
Allison.
Yeah, I
Cool.
think it has to be like
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah, Ramsdale in a few years maybe. So what was the next one? Is it
I'm
right
gonna just
back?
add in Allison, so then you can complete the team. Get it on the screen.
There we go. Allison.
Right. So then next one in defense. So how do we go about doing this?
Because we
So I
can't
guess
put them into the team. We can only put in one. So I think we just have to pick one defensive
from all
backup
categories, right?
from all
Yeah.
categories, full back and centre back. I think.
All right. Well, we're not going to agree straight off. Well, you never know. Let's see.
I'm just looking
All
at
right.
who was in the shortlists again, just to jog my memory.
So, yeah, I'll just quickly read it out. So we've got Gabriel, Shaw, Botman, Faze, Ben White, and Diego Dallo, Robertson, Rico Henry, Shaw, Dan Burn. Right. I've got one in mind.
Yeah, I think. Ooh. All right. Yeah. No. Let's do it.
Cool. All right. 3, 2, 1. Ben White.
Ben White. Yeah, I think this is where the bias comes out from us.
I don't know. I think he's the most versatile one. Like,
I don't know. FPL's selling us too many players from Arsenal.
oh shit!
I warned you
So
this would happen.
This isn't even going to work, is it?
No, I'm not going to save the team, but it's fine. We'll just do it for illustration purposes today. We can't even put in the midfield sub, but we
No.
will
So
still pick one.
backup. Oh no, that's fine. Let's just pick the backup strikers now.
All right, fine. We'll go. Yeah, midfielders. I think we got a nice mix in there. Okay, so we got two backup strikers, and I think that's fair because it's very stiff competition between all of them: Haaland, Tony, Kane, Jesus, Wilson, Nunez, Mitrovic. So Haaland's already the main striker. Who are our two subs?
Right.
Oh, this is tough. Okay.
I know one. I'm just struggling to pick the second.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I might have gone a bit rogue here, but we'll see what happens.
Okay.
All right.
Are we saying two then? Yeah.
Yeah. Two. Say two. Yeah. 3,
right, cool.
2, 1. Tony
Kane
and Mitrovic.
Whoa. No Kane.
I think that's where bias again got in my way. It was that last part you said to me.
Fuck it.
No, it was that last part you said to me about Spurs fans saying Kane's been shit, but he does keep scoring. Like I get it. Like for England yesterday, he was playing CDM to because our midfield was non-existent. US's midfield were much better, so we just couldn't create. Our final third was lacking. But I feel like that's a great strength for him that he can drop deep and dictate play and get involved. But I want my striker to be in the box, getting his head on the cross. Like
he has. He scored 12 fucking goals.
He has, but there's a few penalties in there which we know he doesn't miss.
I think that's just his game, right? It's like, yeah, I don't know.
I just feel Mitrovic for me. I think Mitrovic, if he can do that in a team like Fulham, be 2 goals below Kane, playing for what people said was a title contender in pre-season. They've had Spurs have had their best start in their history, or so in 60 years, but still. And Mitrovic has only got 2 goals less than him, and he's playing for a promoted team.
I don't want to become I'm not going to defending Kane is not a hill I'm wanting to fucking die on, so I'm going to leave it and be like, yeah, fuck it, Mitrovic is.
I'll put Kane in the team just so that there is a Spurs player, because I realized Bentancur was in the shortlist, but he never made it. So just for the sake of the optics of this, I will put Kane in so there's one white shirt in the entire screen. And I'm going to screenshot this as well with the.
And then we'll put
Kane
just because this looks very chaotic. So we'll read out the actual 11 we've come on.
Let's do that.
And then we'll obviously tweet out a lineup graphic. And let us know yours. So we have landed on Nick Pope in goal. So 4-3-3. Trippier, Saliba, Martinez, Cancelo. A midfield 3 of Thomas Partey, Kevin De Bruyne, and James Maddison. And then on either side of Erling Haaland up top, we've got Gabriel Martinelli and Miguel Almiron.
Seems like a solid team. We've got Allison on the bench, Ben White on the bench, Tony and Kane on the bench.
Yeah, if you need a goal, Jesus, just chuck the kitchen sink on. Yeah, in
All
hindsight, it
right.
was doing got an FPL was like a great idea before, and when it came to reality, it was like, there's a few technicalities here.
Like I kept trying to add Party into the middle position,
Yeah,
but because he was the first mid I was picking, it kept putting him on the left. Cool. Okay, so I think it's gone on a lot longer than we expected. It's been good fun debating
yeah,
this
it was
and
good fun.
chatting about the Premier League again and a little bit of random tangents about the World Cup and just good to catch up in general. We will be doing an Arteta Tactics kind of special as well at some point soon, where we're going to record with like looking at his time at Arsenal and how we've evolved. We're going to do a Emirates era best 11 too. And as I mentioned, we're going to look at the Arsenal players and how they did in the group stages of the World Cup. So we've got some great content coming out. Do let us know if there's anything else you'd like to see. But otherwise, we were the Arsenal BiteSize Podcast. And if you enjoyed the episode, if you found it entertaining, please hit that like, subscribe if you're new. And if you're on podcast, leave us a review. But otherwise, any parting words from you, Clayton, before we get us out of here?
No, all good. Just let us know your teams. And
Yeah,
it
let
feels
us
weird
know.
to be
Yeah, I'd
saying
love
it
to
when they're
hear.
not playing, but up the Arsenal.
Yeah, up the Arsenal in the World Cup. And all the Arsenal players, may they long do well and not get injured. All right,
Nice one.
peace out. See
Cheers,
you
everyone.
guys soon.